Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel, Rachel Reads, and today I'm going to be sharing with you my TBR for the month of February. So the way I usually do TBRs is I just kind of have a list of books I want to try to get to throughout the month. It's not usually a hard and fast unless I'm following like a pretty strict readathon. This month I am going to try to read a lot of books by Black authors, but that's something I've been doing a lot anyway, so it's not really that different from my normal TBR. I do have some book of the month picks here. I have some arcs that I need to get to, so yeah, let's just get to it. So the first book that I want to make sure I read this month is The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. This was a book I got in my Book of the Month box in January, and it is set in antebellum South. Yes, so this book is about Isaiah and Samuel, and they are lovers, and they mostly keep to themselves and aren't really bothered, but when this older man who is enslaved comes to the plantation, you know, he sort of brings with him a lot of religious gospel that gets the other people who are enslaved, you know, kind of on his side, sort of against the two lovers. So far it's really good. I've started it. I also downloaded the audiobook because it's very lyrical, the writing, and I just want to hear it spoken out loud because I feel like that would be very beautiful, so I'm going to try that as well. So that's The Prophets by Robert Jones Jr. The next book I want to read is The Kindest Lie by Nancy Johnson, also a Book of the Month pick for February, and this is about Ruth Tuttle. Ruth is from a small town in Indiana, and she has been living away from home, you know, her hometown. She's living in Chicago, and it's 2008. She decides to take a visit back home, and she realizes, you know, how things have changed, how the economic recession has impacted her hometown, and it's just about things that she learns. It's been compared to Little Fires Everywhere, which wasn't my favorite book, but the premise just sounds really interesting, and so I'm excited to try it out. Okay, so the next book that I want to try is The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abi Dare, and this book sounds really interesting. It is about a young girl, Adani. She's 14 years old, she is Nigerian, and all she wants is to get an education, and her family ends up selling her to be a household servant, like a domestic, with some wealthy people in Lagos. And the book follows her as she sort of grows up and comes of age and tries to find her voice. So this one I definitely want to get to this month. It sounds really, really good. My cat's over here playing with my books. Hey, buddy. Alright, the next book I want to read is The Dating Plan by Sarah Desai. So this is not one of my Black History Month books, but it's a romance, and it is the month of Valentine's Day, so I want to read some romance books. It's about Daisy Patel. She's a software engineer, and she, you know, has had her whole life planned out, but her family is very insistent that she find someone to marry. So this ends up being a fake dating or fake engagement story, which I always enjoy those kind of romance tropes where people are fake dating or engaged and end up actually falling in love. So that sounds really cute. So that's The Dating Plan. This next one is actually something I'm reading for my podcast. If you don't know, I co-host a podcast called What You Should Read, and I'll link it down below so that you all can check it out. We like to have authors on, and sometimes we're lucky enough to get arcs. So this is an arc of Never Far Away by Michael Corrida. Actually, he's an author who lives in Maine, and I live in Maine, so that's interesting. And this is sort of a thriller type of book. I don't know much about it actually, and I kind of don't want to know too much about it before going in, because where it being a thriller, I kind of like that I don't know anything going in, and then I get more of that suspense in it. So now you can see my cat in the background. Hey, kitty. So anyway, yeah, so that's Never Far Away by Michael Korda. I'm going to read this month as well. So these next books that I want to read this month, actually I've already read one of them, but it's a series, trilogy. I don't know if there will be more in the series, but so far there's only 3, and it's the Reluctant Royal series by Alyssa Cole. The first one being A Princess in Theory, which I've already read. I'm in the middle of the second one, Duke by Default, which I love, and the third one is A Prince on Paper. So really enjoying this series so far, and I definitely want to finish it ASAP. So looking forward to that. Some other books I really want to get to this month are mostly rereads actually, and they are the Graceling Realm series by Kristen Cashore. I read this series, the first 3 books, probably 2 or 3 years ago. I was definitely already living in this house, so it was no more than 3 years ago, but I really enjoyed them. I read them on audiobook, and which are really good. I highly recommend. But I just bought the new set with the new covers because the 4th book came out last month. So I have all of them: Graceling, Fire, Bitter Blue, and the new one, which is called Winter Keep. So I'm really looking forward to sort of rereading these so that I can get to this one, because I definitely want to re-immerse myself in the world as much as possible, and before I dive into this one. So a lot of books on my TBR this month. There's also a few on my Kindle I want to get to, mostly for the podcast. So I'm not going to describe them too much, because I want to leave at least some bit of mystery to maybe encourage you all to go check out the podcast and see what kind of things I end up reading. But yeah, that's my TBR. So comment down below what you're planning to read this month. Let me know if you have read any of these books. Let me know what you think, and I look forward to sharing with you guys all of my thoughts. So bye for now.